They told me to accept my wife's affair with my rich brother. They told me to be mature at my own birthday dinner. That night, the restaurant was glowing with candles, jazz humming in the background, and a three-tier cake waiting for me to blow out the candles. My wife, Madison, wore red, the kind of red that draws every damn eye in the room. She leaned in close to whisper, "Tonight will be unforgettable." She wasn't lying, just not in the way I hoped. Across the table sat my brother, Tyler. Millionaire. Smug. Wearing a Rolex I recognized because I gave it to him years ago. His hand brushed against Madison's under the table, quick, subtle, but I caught it. My stomach flipped. I'd spent weeks trying to ignore the signs. Madison coming home late with a scent of expensive cologne I didn't wear, laughing at jokes Tyler made that weren't even funny, locking her phone like it held nuclear codes. I thought I was being paranoid. I thought I could fix it. I was wrong. That night, everyone was there. My parents, Madison's sister Claire, Tyler, a few friends, all pretending, all lying. When the wine started flowing, so did the truth. It was my mother who said it first. She clinked her glass, stood up, and said, "Nathan, you're a good man. A strong man. And sometimes strong men have to accept modern realities." I blinked. What does that mean? Claire looked away. My father cleared his throat. Tyler grinned like a snake. It means, little bro, that Madison and I were in love. It's been going on for a while. But don't take it personally. It just happened. Madison didn't even flinch. She crossed her legs, sipped her wine, and said, "It's not like you were satisfying me emotionally, Nathan, or physically." There it was, the grenade in my chest. Everyone sat still, watching me, waiting for me to break. I looked around the table. They all knew. They helped her hide it. My mother whispered, "Please don't make a scene. Just accept it. Be mature." Be mature? I stared at Madison, who was now whirling her hair like this was some damn rom-com. I clenched my fists under the table and gave a small nod, my signal. 3 men moved from the back of the restaurant, dressed as waiters. But they weren't waiters at all. Madison's face drained of color as they approached. Tyler shifted in his seat. I leaned forward, calm as ice, and said, "You two might want to start being honest, because they're not here to bring dessert." One of the men dropped a folder on the table in front of Madison. Photographs spilled out, grainy but clear. Her sneaking into Tyler's condo in lingerie. Her kissing him at the golf course. One shot of them in a hotel elevator, disheveled and clearly just done doing something they shouldn't have been doing. She stared at them, speechless for the first time in years. "I hired a private investigator 3 months ago," I said. "I wanted to be wrong. God, I begged to be wrong. But here we are." Claire started crying. My dad turned pale. Tyler stood up, fist clenched. "You're being dramatic." I laughed. It was a bitter sound. "No, Tyler. Dramatic is screwing your brother's wife and then trying to pitch it as a progressive arrangement." Madison finally found her voice. "This is just low, Nathan. You've always been petty. Now you're pathetic." I stood up slowly, slid the ring off my finger, and placed it in her champagne glass. "Happy birthday to me." I walked out. Behind me, chaos erupted, shouting, chairs scraping, my mother's voice begging everyone to stay calm. But I was already gone. What they didn't know was that this night was only the beginning. I didn't go home that night. I drove for hours, city lights blurring into nothing, my hands gripping the steering wheel tighter than I realized. I couldn't get her face out of my mind, how unfazed she was. How easily she twisted the knife, like I was just some temporary fool she had outgrown. The moment I left the restaurant, I felt the weight shift. The weight of pretending everything was fine, of ignoring the signs, of loving someone who saw me as disposable. I ended up in a parking lot outside a cheap motel, still wearing the same shirt from dinner. I sat there in silence for maybe 20 minutes before my phone lit up. Madison. Calling. Again. She'd already sent 10 texts. The first few were mocking. "Seriously? Dramatic much? You embarrassed yourself, not me. Grow up." Then they turned more desperate. "Where are you? We need to talk." "Nathan, don't do anything stupid." I let the phone ring. Then I blocked her. Around 2 a.m., I opened the PI's folder again. Every photo felt like a punch. There were dates and timestamps. They'd been seeing each other for over a year. A year of Madison lying to my face, of family dinners where my own blood laughed at my expense. My brother. The same guy who used to steal my toys as a kid and blame it on me. The same guy who had everything handed to him, money, connections, charm, and still wanted to take what little I had. And Madison let him. Worse, she made me feel like I was the problem. All those nights she came home exhausted and too tired for anything. All those times she scolded me for being jealous or insecure. Now I knew. I checked into the motel and collapsed onto the bed. I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, wondering how the hell my life had become this mess. The next morning, I woke to pounding on the door. It was Claire, Madison's sister. Her eyes were red, and she looked like she hadn't slept either. "Nathan, can we talk?" she asked, voice trembling. I stepped aside without a word. She sat on the edge of the bed. I didn't know how deep it went. I knew there was something, but I thought it was just flirting or texting. I didn't know they were actually. "You knew enough." I cut her off. "You watched it unfold. You sat there at dinner and let them humiliate me." I froze. "Okay," she snapped. I was sick to my stomach. But what was I supposed to do? "Madison's been manipulating all of us. She said you were controlling, that you made her feel suffocated." I actually laughed. Suffocated? I paid for her boutique to open. I supported every crazy project she started. I never once raised my voice, even when she came home at 3 a.m. smelling like his goddamn aftershave. Claire looked down. "I'm sorry, Nathan. She's not who I thought she was. None of us thought she'd go this far." "She called me pathetic," I said quietly. "At my own birthday, after I gave her everything." Claire nodded slowly. "She's saying you set her up, that you humiliated her in front of family and friends, and that she doesn't feel safe with you." That hit different. I stood up. "She doesn't feel safe?" "After she lied, cheated, and dragged me through the mud." Claire stood too. "She's twisting it to make herself the victim. She's always done that. You need to protect yourself, Nathan. She's not done screwing you over." I nodded. "Don't worry. I'm not playing nice anymore." That evening, I returned home. The house was quiet. Madison was sitting in the living room with her arms crossed, like she was the one waiting to be apologized to. "You finally decided to show up," she said. "You owe me a conversation." I stared at her, cold. "No. You owe me my time, my dignity, and at least 2 years of my life." She stood. "You embarrassed me in front of everyone. I could have handled this with grace, but you turned it into a circus." I took a step closer. "Grace? You were screwing my brother. Behind my back. And you think I should have clapped and thanked you for the honor?" She rolled her eyes. "You always blow things out of proportion. It was just comfort. Emotional connection. You never listened to me anymore." "Yeah? What does Tyler listen to, your problems or just your moans?" I shot back. Her face twisted in disgust. "You're vile." "No, Madison," I said, grabbing a folder from the counter. "You're vile. And this? This is your notice. I've already filed for divorce. You'll be hearing from my lawyer." She tried to speak, but I was already walking upstairs, done with the conversation, done with the lies. What she didn't know yet was that I wasn't just leaving her. I was taking everything with me. And I wasn't finished. Not even close. 2 days passed. Silence in the house, except for the occasional sound of drawers opening and closing as I packed my things. Madison tried to act unaffected, like she was the queen of some broken kingdom, waiting for me to beg for her mercy. She underestimated how deep the cut really was. I didn't cry. Not once. My anger held it all back, welded like steel inside my ribs. I moved through the house like a ghost, remembering every fight she started just to disappear for a night. Every girl's trip that ended with her coming back smelling like a different man. Tyler stopped by on the 3rd day. Yeah, he had the balls to show up. I opened the door and stared at him through the screen. "You got a second?" he asked, adjusting his sunglasses. He looked like he just stepped out of a magazine ad, expensive watch, freshly shaved, still wearing that smugness like cologne. I didn't respond. Just walked away, leaving the door open. He came in slowly, like he expected a trap. "Maybe you should have." "I didn't mean for it to happen this way," he started. I tried to fight it. We both did. "Cut the crap," I snapped, tossing a book into the moving box. "You were nailing my wife while telling me to trust her. And while we're at it, you were also telling Mom and Dad it was for my own good." He winced. "They didn't want you to get hurt." I laughed, dark, bitter. "Then they shouldn't have helped cover up the knife." Tyler shifted his weight. "Madison said you were falling apart, that you were distant. I just wanted to be there for her." I stepped closer, the heat rising in my chest. "You wanted what I had. You always have. It's not about her. It's about winning. I didn't plan this, Nate. I love her." I shook my head. "No, you love what she represents. My house, my life, my peace. And you couldn't stand seeing me happy for once." He opened his mouth, but I raised a hand. "Here's how this is going to work. I've got the PI's report, the text logs, hotel records, even a damn voice recording of Madison bragging about fooling me. If you or anyone in this family tries to come after me legally, financially, or even emotionally, I'll burn everything you care about. And I mean everything. Tyler stood frozen for a second, like he couldn't believe the version of me in front of him. He always saw me as the nice guy, the quiet brother. Now he didn't know who he was talking to. He left without another word. That night, Madison made one last move. She came into the bedroom where I was boxing up the last of my things, wearing that same red dress from my birthday dinner. No apology in her eyes. Just calculation. "You're really going through with this?" she asked. "You think I'm bluffing?" She walked closer, her voice suddenly soft. "You know you can't survive without me. You don't even know how to be alone." I stood up straight. "You think you're necessary?" "Madison, I used to worship you. And you spit in my face, over and over, while convincing me I was lucky to have you." She placed a hand on my chest. "You still love me. I can feel it." I took her hand and gently moved it away. "No, I love who you used to pretend to be. That woman doesn't exist." Her face twisted in frustration. "So you're really gonna throw away our entire life because I found someone who makes me feel alive?" I didn't answer. I didn't need to. She turned to leave, then paused in the doorway. "You'll regret this." I looked her dead in the eyes. "No, you will." When she left, I finished packing, locked the door, and dropped the keys on the kitchen counter. I didn't even leave a note. I wanted her to walk in the next morning to that echoing silence and realize she'd finally lost the only person who ever gave a damn. But the game wasn't over yet, because if she thought public humiliation was hard to swallow, she had no idea what I had planned next. The next morning, I walked into my lawyer's office with a USB stick in my pocket and a fire in my chest. The receptionist gave me a strange look. Maybe I looked like I hadn't slept. Maybe because I hadn't. Inside, my attorney, Greg Masters, stood to greet me. "You look like you're walking into war," he said. I sat down across from him. "That's exactly what this is." I placed the USB on his desk. "Everything you need is on there. Audio, video, photos, dates. I want this divorce clean, fast, and brutal." He raised an eyebrow. "Brutal?" She lied, cheated, dragged my name through the mud, and turned my family against me, I said, staring him down. "I want the house. I want the car. I want every penny I put into her boutique. And I want a restraining order on Tyler if he so much as breathes near me again." Greg nodded slowly, then plugged in the USB. As the files loaded, I saw the flicker in his eyes, recognition of just how ugly this story was. He clicked through the photos. "This is more than enough. She's not just going to lose in court. She's going to drown." "Good," I said. "Let her sink." That afternoon, I met with Claire again. Not because I trusted her, but because I needed to know how deep this went. We sat at a coffee shop, away from anyone we might know. She was already there when I arrived, tapping her fingers nervously on a to-go cup. "I told Madison you left," she said quietly. She didn't even blink. "Said you'd come crawling back eventually." I smirked. "She's going to be very disappointed." Claire looked up. "There's something you should know. Madison, she wasn't only with Tyler." My stomach tightened. "What do you mean?" She looked ashamed. "A few months ago, she came back from LA bragging to her friends, drunk, loud, talking about a weekend with some hedge fund guy. Said she had a vacation body and vacation rules. That's her phrase. It wasn't just Tyler. He was the safe bet. The others were experiments." The blood drained from my face. "How long has she been like this?" Claire didn't answer. She didn't have to. I sat back in my chair, feeling the sting of it all. I was nothing more than the constant. The one who stayed while she played. "She's toxic," Claire whispered. "I know she's my sister, but she's a monster in heels. I don't even know who she is anymore." "Neither do I said. "And I lived with her." Later that day, I sent Madison a formal message through Greg. It was brief, cold, just the way it needed to be. "All future contact will go through my attorney. Any attempts to reach me directly will be considered harassment. Have a good life." She replied with one word. "Coward." I didn't even dignify it with a response. But she wasn't done. That night, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was a video, sent from an unknown number. It was her, Madison, sitting in our bedroom, filming herself. Dressed in silk, makeup perfect, and voice syrupy sweet. "I just want everyone to see the truth," she said to the camera. Nathan was cold, distant. He didn't want to touch me anymore. He pushed me into other arms. My jaw clenched. I kept watching. Tyler was there when Nathan wasn't. He made me feel beautiful, desired. I don't regret it. I did what I had to do to survive a loveless marriage. I laughed bitterly. Loveless? She begged me to marry her. She chose the date, the venue, the song. She planned everything, then acted like she was the victim in her own design. She posted the video publicly the next day, tagged our mutual friends, called it her truth. It backfired. The comments poured in. You cheated. Own it. He didn't abuse you. He adored you. You just got caught, and now you're spinning stories. But the best comment? Came from Tyler's ex-girlfriend. Funny. She said the same stuff about me when she was sneaking into Tyler's apartment behind my back. Madison tried to spin the narrative, but her web was falling apart. And I wasn't even finished pulling the threads yet. Because the next phase wasn't about damage control. It was about revenge. Revenge wasn't about shouting. It wasn't about broken plates or screaming matches or showing up at her job to make a scene. That's what she would have done. That's what she expected from me. But I wasn't playing her game anymore. I was rewriting the rules. I started with the boutique, the one I funded, decorated, and even helped name, Velvet Halo. The irony of that name hit harder now. A soft disguise for someone with claws. I contacted my bank, forwarded the receipts, pulled the transaction logs, and tied every major purchase to my account. Madison had insisted early on to put it all in her name for tax reasons, she said. Said it was just paperwork. She made it sound so innocent. And stupid me, I signed. But she forgot something. The lease. The entire building was in my name. Within a week, I served her an eviction notice. She showed up to the lawyer's office, red in the face, mascara already smudged, screaming at Greg like he was the one who slept with Tyler. You can't just take it from me, she shrieked. I built that brand. That's my store. Greg stayed calm. Your client did fund it, Mrs. Rhodes. And without your financial contribution or legal ownership, it's not yours. She turned to me, livid. This is about revenge. You're so petty. I looked at her, steady. You were never a partner. You were a spoiled tenant. She stormed out. And I swear, the entire building exhaled when the door slammed shut. I didn't stop there. I dug deeper into her mess. Through Claire, and yeah, maybe I bribed her a little, I got access to Madison's iCloud. Text backups, call logs, photos she thought she deleted. That's when I found him. The hedge fund guy Claire mentioned. Not just some random fling. He was married. With kids. And Madison had taken photos with him in bed, his wedding ring still on. I sent an anonymous envelope to his wife. A flash drive. A note. You deserve the truth. From one betrayed spouse to another. 3 days later, he went silent. Madison's phone started blowing up with calls from a blocked number. Then more messages. You ruined my life. My wife left. Don't ever contact me again. It was beautiful. She started unraveling. She showed up at our old place one night, banged on the door, crying, screaming. I just want to talk. Please, Nathan. Please just talk to me. But it wasn't my place anymore. I had moved out. Sold the furniture. The new owner called the cops. I got the call the next morning from Claire. She's in full meltdown mode, she said. Cried all night. Now she's blaming me for everything. You helped hide it. Own your part. I know. I deserve it. But Nathan, she's not done. What do you mean? Claire hesitated. She's trying to say you were abusive. That she was scared of you. I froze. She's what? I'm warning you now. She's talking to a blogger. One of those tell-all writers. She wants to smear your name and make herself look like the poor little victim. That was it. That was the last thread holding back the storm. She wanted to drag my name through the dirt because the truth didn't fit her narrative. So I released my version. I made a video, nothing flashy. Just me. One camera. Calm, honest, and direct. I laid it all out. The affair. The PI reports. The receipts. The betrayal. I didn't bash her. I didn't insult her. I just told the truth. And then I ended it with, I love someone who wore a mask. And when it slipped, I saw the stranger behind it. This isn't revenge. This is release. Let her go. I already have. It went viral. Not because I was famous. Not because I yelled. But because it was real. Every man who'd been lied to. Every woman who'd been cheated on. Every person who'd been told to just accept it. They saw themselves in it. And Madison? She couldn't handle that. She posted her own video days later. Crying. Desperate. But no one bought it anymore. The charm was gone. The lies were worn out. The mask had shattered. And I was already gone. Stronger. Smarter. Free. A week passed. I was renting a loft downtown now. Nothing fancy. Bare walls, one couch, a bed, and peace. The silence was the best part. No footsteps and heels pacing angrily at 2 a.m. No shouting about things I never did. No cologne-soaked excuses floating through the door at sunrise. Just me. And for the first time in years, that was enough. Madison didn't go quiet. Of course not. She was chaos embodied, and chaos doesn't know how to sit still. She kept trying, through fake accounts, burner numbers, even mutual friends who just wanted to talk. One afternoon, I got a call from Drew, an old friend I hadn't heard from in months. "You won't believe who I just saw," he said. "Madison. At the Ivy. With some guy. Yelling at him in the middle of the restaurant like a soap opera villain." I chuckled. "That sounds about right. She said your name. Loud. Told him she built you, and that you were nothing without her." I closed my eyes and smiled. "She's really struggling with the whole being irrelevant thing, huh?" Drew lowered his voice. "She looked desperate, man. Like she's slipping. Good. Let her." But it wasn't over. Not yet. That night, I got an email. No subject line. Just a video file. I almost didn't open it, but something told me to click. It was Madison again. Recording herself. This time, no fancy makeup, no red dress. Just a hoodie, tears, and smeared eyeliner. "Nathan," she began, her voice shaky. "I don't even know who I am anymore." I paused the video, took a breath, pressed play again. "I messed up. I know I did. I was selfish. I was cruel. I kept thinking you'd always be there. That you'd keep forgiving me, like you always did. And when you didn't." I broke. She looked straight into the lens. "I lied about everything. About Tyler, about the others. I used your kindness like it was endless. And now you're gone. And I hate that you're not coming back. I watched the whole thing. Not because I missed her. Not because I wanted to hear her pain. But because I needed the closure. It wasn't an apology. Not really. It was regret that she lost her safety net. It was the panic of a narcissist watching the spotlight fade." I didn't reply. I archived the email. 2 days later, I bumped into Tyler. Total accident. He was coming out of some boutique with a new woman, a blonde half Madison's age, dressed like an influencer and glued to her phone. He saw me, froze for a second, then gave a weak smile. "Hey." I nodded. "Tyler. She, sent you the video?" "Yep." He scratched the back of his neck. "She's been, not great. Keeps showing up at my place. Said she made a mistake." I tilted my head. "And I told her I wasn't in the market for second chances." I laughed once. Dry. "Welcome to the club." We didn't shake hands. We didn't pretend to be brothers again. We just stood there, strangers with shared blood. As I turned to leave, he called out, "You know, you handled all this better than I ever could have. Respect." I didn't respond. I didn't need his respect. I had my dignity. That was more than he'd ever understand. Weeks passed. Then a month. The divorce finalized. Clean. No contest. She didn't even fight for the house. Probably knew better. I donated her designer shoes to charity. Sold her jewelry to pay for therapy. Burned the wedding album in a backyard fire pit with a drink in my hand and peace in my heart. And I wrote something. For me. Not a letter. Not a post. Just a note on my wall. You loved her harder than she deserved. And left when it hurt the most. That's strength. And now? Now I sleep better. I laugh deeper. I eat without tension in my chest. I date without looking over my shoulder. Madison? She's just a chapter now. A lesson. A warning. A name I don't even flinch at anymore. Because I survived the worst kind of betrayal. And I came out clean. 3 months later, the nightmare stopped. I no longer woke up reaching for someone who wasn't there, or worse, someone I didn't want to be there. My mornings were quiet. My reflection had a little more fire behind the eyes. I wasn't bitter anymore. Just sharper. I saw things now I used to ignore. The fake smiles. The manipulation dressed as charm. The way people try to rewrite your memories while you're still living them. And then, just when I thought the dust had settled, Claire called. Again. "She's spiraling," she said. No hello. No how are you. Just straight into it. She lost her boutique, can't get hired anywhere respectable. She tried to launch some influencer brand, but nobody cares. And now she's talking about suing you. For what? I asked, calm. She says you destroyed her career. Emotional distress, defamation, whatever she can spin. I sighed. She's running out of oxygen and gasping for noise. Claire hesitated. She also said she's pregnant. My blood froze. What? She's telling people it's yours. I laughed. Hard. You know damn well that's not even biologically possible. We haven't touched each other in over a year. She was too busy playing musical lovers. Claire spoke softer. I know. Everyone knows. She's just trying to pull attention back to her. She's unraveling in slow motion, like she wants someone to watch. That night, I didn't get mad. I didn't even feel panic. I just poured myself a drink, sat by the window, and let the silence talk to me. Madison had always been the storm. I used to think love meant holding the roof down during the wind. But now I knew, love doesn't ask you to drown quietly. 2 weeks later, I saw her in person again. Unplanned. A friend invited me to a gallery opening. I said yes because I was curious, not because I expected anything. And there she was, dressed in black, lips painted blood red, walking like nothing ever touched her, but now the cracks showed. The mask didn't sit right anymore. She saw me, paused, gave me that old smirk like we were in on some secret joke. I just looked at her, not with hate, not with longing, just nothing. She walked over. You look good. You look familiar, I said. That cut deeper than anything I could have planned. She blinked. That smirk? Gone. I didn't come to fight, she whispered. I came to say I'm sorry. Really? For everything. I looked around at the paintings. Bright colors, chaos on canvas. Funny how people only say sorry when the audience walks away. I lost everything, she said. Tyler's gone. The boutique. Friends. Family barely picks up my calls. You're the only one who ever really saw me. No, I corrected. I saw what I wanted you to be. That wasn't you. That was my fantasy wearing your face. She swallowed hard. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just needed to say it. For me. I nodded. Then say it. Walk away. And mean it this time. She didn't argue. Didn't cry. Just looked at me with eyes that finally understood something. Regret? Maybe. Loss? Definitely. She turned and disappeared into the crowd. I left not long after. That night, I slept better than I had in years. No more ghosts. No more what-ifs. The chapter was closed, the ink dry, and I'd stopped rereading the pain like it was scripture. The truth is, betrayal doesn't just break your heart. It shows you who you are without someone else's shadow hanging over you. I found myself in the silence she left behind, and I liked what I found. It ended on a Tuesday. Quiet. No explosions. No final message. Just the realization that the story was over, and I wasn't waiting for a sequel. I got the finalized court documents in the mail that morning. A crisp envelope, heavy paper, my name next to hers one last time, then separated by a line that said, marriage dissolved. I stared at it for a long time. Not because I was sad, not because I missed her, but because of how surreal it felt, how a few sheets of paper could erase years of lies, confusion, and false promises. I didn't feel broken. I didn't feel angry. I felt released. That evening, I went back to the same restaurant where it all came crashing down. Same corner table. Same view of the city lights through the glass. But this time, no cake. No betrayal dressed in red. Just me and a steak, medium rare, and a whiskey neat. The waiter asked if I was waiting for someone. I shook my head. Just needed a place to sit with the past for a minute. I thought about all of it. The red dress. The affair. My brother. The lies. The humiliation. But more than that, I thought about how far I'd come since. I'd rebuilt my life piece by piece. I started a small business, just mine this time. I reconnected with people I pushed away trying to please someone who could never be pleased. I smiled without second-guessing it. I laughed, full and unfiltered. Most importantly, I trusted myself again. And if there's anything I'd say to someone walking through the hell I crawled out of, it's this. You don't owe anyone your silence. You don't have to be the mature one when people spit on your loyalty. You don't have to carry their guilt just because they pretend you deserved it. You just have to survive long enough to see who you really are without them. And once you do, don't look back. That version of you that stayed quiet, that forgave too easily, that confused loyalty with self-destruction, that version dies the moment you stand up. And what's born in its place is someone unbreakable. So here's to the end. Not of love, not of trust, but of her, of Madison, of the lies she wore like perfume. I raised my glass to the skyline, took a sip, and walked out without looking back. Free. At last.